For over half a century, the open house has been a weekend ritual. But in the age of Zillow and immersive 3D tours, many sellers are asking the same question. Is it an obsolete waste of time, or is it a secret weapon for getting a higher price? The answer is more surprising than you might think, and it's not a simple yes or no. The truth is, the value of an open house is not universal, it's deeply situational. Stick around because we're going to break down the exact situation where an open house works, where it fails, and how new industry rules have completely changed the game.
Thanks, Mark. With that as a backdrop, let's focus on what's important. We're going to cover a lot, and we know your time is valuable. So here are the three most critical takeaways from our analysis. First, the value of an open house is 100% situational. It is not a magic bullet, it's a specific tool. And its effectiveness depends entirely on your local market, the conditions, and your specific type of property. Second, think of it as a middle of the funnel tool, not a discovery tool. The data is clear. Only about 2% of buyers actually find the home they purchase at an open house. Its real job is to help serious buyers who have already found your home online validate their interest and create a powerful sense of urgency. And third, the new industry rules have increased their demand. But is that a good thing? Recent legislative changes require buyers to sign an agreement before they can view any houses for sale. However, the open house is now a safe harbor for unrepresented buyers, making it a gateway to a pool of customers you might otherwise miss. The question remains, are these truly qualified buyers?
That's a great overview, Kyle. But to truly analyze the requirements of the modern open house, you have to look at its history. Now, to understand where we are, we need to know how we got here. The open house dates back to the 1910s, a sort of Wild West era of real estate. By the 1950s, it was the way you sold a home. But today, with the majority of all buyers finding their homes on the internet, that legacy practice is facing a crisis of relevance.
And that legacy practice brings with it a fundamental misunderstanding that we see all the time. The first mistake we often see sellers make is thinking everyone at an open house has the same goal. They don't. It's like a three-way intersection where everyone thinks they have the green light. You have three players: the seller, the buyer, and the agent. The seller wants to maximize exposure and hopefully spark a bidding war. The buyer wants a low-pressure way to gather information and see if the home lives up to the online photos. But the agent? While serving the seller is the principal duty, the open house is also one of the most powerful tools for lead generation. It's where we meet new, unrepresented buyers and neighbors who might be thinking of buying soon. This creates a subtle conflict of interest you need to be aware of. An open house that fails to get an offer for the seller can still be a huge success for the agent if they sign a new client. That's why you need to understand the real motivation behind the strategy your agent presents.
And that conflict of interest becomes even clearer when you look at the seemingly contradictory data. Now let's talk data, because this is where things get really interesting. The numbers on open houses seem to completely contradict each other. On the one hand, data from the National Association of Realtors consistently shows that only 2 to 4% of buyers find the home they ultimately purchase at an open house, a tiny number. But then, a widely cited Redfin study found that homes holding an open house in their first week sold for an average of $9,000 more and 7 days faster. So what gives? The answer is a classical statistical trap: correlation versus causation. Here's the analogy I use. The open house isn't the engine causing the car to go faster. It's more like the fancy spoiler on a car that was already built for speed. In my experience, agents invest a significant time and marketing dollars for an open house on A-grade properties, those that are really priced right, in excellent condition, and in a desirable location. Those homes are naturally going to sell for more money and faster. The open house is simply part of a winning marketing strategy. It's not the sole reason it wins.
Beyond the quality of the property itself, there's another variable that completely changes the purpose of an open house. The single biggest factor determining if an open house is right for you is the market itself. The open house is a strategic chameleon. Its purpose completely inverts based on market conditions. In a hot seller's market with low inventory, the open house becomes a tool for demand management. The goal isn't to find a buyer, the buyers are already lining up. The strategy here is to restrict access, maybe even ban private showings for the first few days, and funnel every single interested person into one chaotic weekend event. This creates a spectacle of demand. It sparks FOMO, fear of missing out, and it's explicitly designed to generate a bidding war. It's pure psychological strategy. But in a slow buyer's market with high inventory, its purpose completely flips. It becomes a tool for demand generation. You're just trying to get anyone and everyone through the door. The goal is to stand out from the competition, and just as importantly, to get direct, unfiltered feedback on your price and condition from the few buyers who do show up. This feedback is gold.
Understanding those two different strategies is the key to making an informed decision for your own sale. So knowing all of this, how do you decide? It means weighing the real benefits against some very significant risks. Let's be blunt about the risks first, because this is what keeps sellers up at night. Security is number one. You are letting complete strangers into your home. Theft of small valuables like prescription medication, jewelry, or small electronics is a documented concern. Even worse, people can use the event to case your home's layout and security for a future break-in. You also have to deal with a ton of unqualified traffic, nosy neighbors, design dreamers, and people who have no ability to actually buy your home. The upside, of course, is creating that visible buzz we talked about. It's also convenient for the seller to consolidate many showings into one afternoon. And it's a fantastic way to get immediate, honest feedback on your home's appeal.
If you do make that decision, implementing a clear safety plan is an absolute non-negotiable. If you decide the benefits outweigh the risks, you absolutely must have a mitigation plan. Here are the non-negotiables. First, secure your home. Remove or lock up all valuables. I'm not just talking about jewelry. This includes medication, personal mail, documents, and small electronics. Depersonalize the space. Second, work with your agent. Insist on a mandatory sign-in process, whether it's a paper sheet or a digital app. A great agent will be actively engaging visitors to gauge their seriousness, not just standing in a corner handing out flyers. And third, consider a safer alternative. If you're not comfortable with a public event, ask your agent about a broker's open. This is an industry-only event for other licensed agents to preview the home for their buyers' clients. You get professional feedback and exposure without the public security risk.
Beyond your individual strategy, there are two massive industry-wide shifts that are redefining this conversation: technology and regulation. People thought 3D virtual tours would kill the open house. Our analysis shows that they were actually wrong. They actually work together perfectly. Think of it this way. The virtual tour is a movie trailer. The physical open house is a full theatrical experience. The virtual tour lets buyers screen dozens of homes from their couch. The open house is for the serious buyers who have already been qualified by the tour and now need that final in-person sensory validation. And now for the big one. New rules are now requiring that all buyers to sign a formal contract with the agent before that agent can show them a property. Buyers in the early stages are hesitant about commitment, but there's a huge exception. A buyer can visit an open house and interact with the listing agent without signing a single thing. This has inadvertently turned the open house into a critical safe harbor for a massive group of uncommitted buyers. If you don't have an open house in today's market, our analysis shows you might be completely invisible to this entire demographic. It's why we're seeing a huge resurgence in their popularity.
So when you combine the history, the data, and these new market forces, you arrive at a clear conclusion. What's the final verdict? The open house is not a blunt instrument you use out of tradition. Our research and experience prove it is a precision tool. The question you should ask your agent isn't if you should have an open house, the question is why. Is it to manage a flood of buyers or to find a single one? Is it to showcase a unique view that the photos can't capture? Or is it to connect with that growing pool of buyers who can't see homes any other way? Answer that question correctly, and you'll know exactly what to do.
Answering that why is exactly where professional guidance becomes critical. Deciding whether an open house fits your optimal strategy for your specific property is a complex call that requires a deep understanding of the market data, buyer psychology, and a new regulatory landscape. Our team specializes in this kind of data-driven analysis to create a tailored marketing plan that maximizes your home's value, not just a one-size-fits-all approach. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and want a strategy that's as unique as your home, visit us at www.paragondfw.com. If you found this video helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and notification bell, and you'll have access to all current and future content. And finally, make sure you leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.